Hey there, everybody. As always, thanks for stopping by the channel and hanging out for a few. My name is Rich. I'm the channel host, and normally we are talking about building our drone businesses. Sometimes that's about the equipment we use in the field. Sometimes it's the back end equipment and software and hardware that we've got for our studios. But we're always seeming to talk about our drone work and the things that go into it. Right now, for this video, I'm actually going to be creating a new thumbnail for a new WebODM video that I just finished. So I need to have the thumbnail for it next before I put it up on YouTube. So I thought we could do this together. As regulars know, we've been experimenting with Affinity Photo 2. And so we're going to use Affinity Photo 2 to make our thumbnail. So let's get to it. I've already got a DNG file selected, so it's a raw file. And I'm going to drag that DNG file right onto Affinity Photo 2. Now, you can also go up to the file menu and do open and things like that. There's, a half dozen ways to open files on these things, whether it's Photoshop or Affinity Photo 2 or, multiple other photo editors. Now, today I dragged that one in, and we are currently, let me just go up here so that you can see it. We're currently in the develop persona. So we're going to be using the develop persona. We're also going to be using, let's see here, the tone mapping persona, and we're finally going to be using the photo persona as well. But the first one we're using is the develop persona, and that's for when we're dealing with raw files. So over on the right hand side, we've got our raw editor over here. So we've got exposure, we've got enhancement, white balance, and shadows and highlights. What I'm going to do with this one, we're going to be cropping this way down, and it's going to be all about the drone. So the power lines and the houses, we're getting rid of them. But the first thing I want to do is go over to shadow and highlights, and I'd like to drop the highlights down a bit. So just a little more depth to the clouds now, and I'm liking the look of that. We can also push the vibrance a bit, but it doesn't really do too much on this side. And we could push saturation a touch, but I'm not going to push it too far. So really simple, really easy. We got into the raw editor. We didn't do a bunch in the raw editor. Over on the left-hand side, you'll also see that there's several additional tools, a white balance tool, blemish removal if we were working on someone, red eye removal tools. That's more geared toward portraiture, and that's not what we're doing here. So what I'm going to do, let's make sure we're still in develop persona, and right over near it in develop, I'm going to go ahead and click that. And now we have moved into the photo persona, okay? And you can see on the photo persona, we've got a lot of additional tools that we're going to work with. And we're going to mainly work with 3 tools here for ourselves. So number one, what I'd like to do is get this really zoomed in and heavily crop this. So over on the left-hand side, we have the crop tool. So I'm going to click on that. And I'd already been messing with the crop tool earlier for another image, but I'm just going to move that crop tool in, and we're going to do the same over here. We're going to be getting rid of the power lines for sure, but I also want to zoom this in, and since this is a raw file, we've got a lot of data in here, which means even if we're cropping this down heavily, we're still going to have great detail. And let's just do that like that. I like that. I'm going to hit return, and there we go. We've now heavily cropped this in, and now we only have one power line to deal with. So that's great. So what I'm going to do next, over on the left-hand side again, we are going to look right here at the in-painting brush tool. So that's one of the tools, that's one of the reasons I bought Affinity Photo years ago, was to help remove things from scenes, and it does a great job. And so we're just going to click on that. And I've got a small brush. If I wanted to make it bigger, I could hit the right bracket key, and you'll see that getting bigger. And if I want to make it smaller, I'll use the left bracket key. So we're just going to go right through here and get rid of that completely. So there we go. It is gone. This is looking good. Let's zoom in. I'm going to do Command plus just to see. All right, we still have some great detail on that. We can actually read the Mavic 3 on the bar on the props there. So let's zoom that back out again. And what do we want to do next? Well, this is a thumbnail, right? So we're doing this as a thumbnail for an upcoming video on WebODM. So let's actually go over and we're going to go to the artistic text tool where we can put some text in here. So that's what I'm going to do. And here we go. And now I can type with this. Okay, this is a little too big. You can see the blocked out area for us though. So we can just grab a corner and bring it in. So let me now grab the arrow tool. And let's get back in here again. So WebODM file export. All right, so we got to shrink this down again just a bit more. I am still learning Affinity Photo 2, so I'm going to make some blunders here, and you can let me know in the comments an easier way to do these things. But so we've got WebODM file exports and deliverables. Okay, so I'm going to go grab the pointer tool again. We're going to bring this over. So we've got WebODM file exports and deliverables. There we go. This is looking all right, but it's not super eye-catching yet, is it? I mean, when we look at this, let's take a look here. I don't like the text, and in the upper left-hand corner, we can select different text like Arial and Arial Regular. We can also select the sizes on this, the styles, and we can also select the formatting here for our final layouts. So be sure when you're using Affinity Photo 2 to check what's up on the top bar for you, because there are some definitely some great tools for you. So number one, I'm not doing this in black, so we're going to select this here, and I would like to get it to somewhere in a orangey zone. There we go. All right. Then we're going to close that now. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to apply some effects here. Well, first, over on the left, we have that Arial and Regular. You saw that right there? I'm going to change that to bold. So that's already looking a little better to me. We've got this bold now. WebODM file exports and deliverables. That's looking pretty good. And the next thing that I want to do, since this is highlighted, and if we look over on the right-hand side, we can see the two different layers we have, the DNG layer, and then we've got the text layer as well. So, all right, what we're going to do is select that text layer, and then down below, we have layer effects. So I am going to apply an effect. So let's select that, and let's go ahead and do the outline, and let's make the radius bigger so that it really pops out here. All right, maybe right about there, and hit close on that. So now this is looking pretty good, and it's eye-catching for sure. WebODM file exports and deliverables, so that is looking good to me as well. And we could also put something else on here. Maybe what we can do, let's go ahead and grab a second text tool, and right down here, all right, that's looking good here. So right down here, we're going to put orthos, texture. Let's see, what else did we get in those? Point cloud. And now it's gone off screen, but we can fix this very quickly. I'm just clicking and dragging. And once again, I'm going to grab the pointer tool, and let's see here. So now we've got orthos, textures, point clouds. That's looking pretty good. And let's go ahead, point clouds. Let's shrink this down just a bit more. There we go. And more. All right, now let's go click on that arrow tool again. So this is getting a little small. Is it not good enough? Is it not legible enough? Let's take a look in here, and we'll switch that to a white. Let's go ahead with a white font there. There we go. And now we've got orthos, textures, point clouds, and more. Let me put an S there. Point clouds, textures. There we go. And so once again, you're just coming along with me. We're doing this together, and we'll shrink that just a touch more. Looking better to me. And now let's go over to the right hand side again and apply another effect. And it's going to be the same one. We're going to do an outline here, and we'll go ahead. There we go. So now that's standing out a lot more. WebODM file exports and deliverables, and I'll move that just a touch more. And remember, we're doing 1920 by 1080 here with my crop for, for an HD type layout. So that's why it's looking like this right now. And the next thing we're going to do, so that was in the photo persona. And the next thing that we would like to do here, I'm going to point up here, is the tone mapping persona. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the tone mapping persona. And it is only pulling from the back layer. So it's not doing anything to our text layers here. But I'm going to go ahead and select detail. That's looking pretty good. How about dramatic? How's that looking? Well, it's a little cool for sure, but it is eye-catching. Let's go back to the detailed real quick. And do I like detailed more, or do I like the dramatic more? I think we're going to go with the dramatic. And now that we've done that background layer, all I have to do is come up here and hit apply. Now that I've hit apply, we are back in the photo persona again, and we're looking pretty good to go. I think I would like to move this over just a touch more. Whoop. I need to highlight the right one here. And so I am on the text layer right here. So let's move this over just a touch more. And then we'll ask ourselves, how is this looking to us? And I think this is looking pretty good. So WebODM file exports and deliverables, orthos, textures, point clouds, and more. This looks like it's almost ready to go. So what are we going to do next? I'd like to save this file. And if you just go in and hit save, what is going to happen? Let me see. WebODM files and files and deliverables. All right, so that's close to it. We're just giving it a name. But what I want you to see here, all right, we're going to close this. We're just going to minimize it, is that we have a new file called WebODM files and deliverables. So that's the file that we just created. And I wanted to point out to you that it is a .af photo. So it's not a PSD, it's not a JPEG. It is their own format, their own save format for Affinity Photo. So the last thing that I need to do then here is I actually need to output a JPEG as well, which is going to be really simple. I'm going to go to File, I'm going to go down to Export, and let's see here, right there is the export, and we are going to make this a JPEG, and we've got higher quality here. Let's see. Yeah, we'll go with the higher quality. And it's JPEG file export, and we're going to hit save on that. And once I've hit save on that, here we go. Here's the JPEG that we will be using for the upcoming WebODM video. So while I was here doing that video, I decided, we'd do a quick Affinity Photo video just to go through setting up another thumbnail to give you some ideas of how you can use Affinity Photo as well. All right, everybody, I got to hop off and get some videos started to go into YouTube for the week. We'll see you again real soon. Have an awesome one.